Hello, my name is Rob Garner. I'm a computer programming instructor, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to use profile data with an existing database. So I'm going to create a new project. And it'll be an empty web forms application. And I'm going to add a class. These are the same classes that we did in the previous example. So I have a shopping cart with a list of items. And I'm going to add a database. So if we were going to add a table to our database, we could do it this way. So that'd be an example of adding a table. And we could potentially do that for all of our identity data. However, Windows or Visual Studio gives us an application to do that. And if you go into your Microsoft.NET framework and the appropriate version folder, you'll find a RegSQL application. And we're going to configure it for services, and our version of the server for Visual Studio is LocalDB version 11.0. And it looks like we don't have it here yet, so I'm just going to try shoppingdb.mdf. If all goes well, it'll add it. If not, may have to run it again. Actually, before doing that, I'm going to take a look at my Object Explorer. I'm just going to copy the name from there and try this again. So it should have it all. And let's go back to our Server Explorer and see if well, we know that this is in our database. We're not seeing it right now here. So we're going to move on and see if this works. I'm going to set up a connection string to this database. And we'll place our connection strings under configuration. I'm going to clear out the existing ones. We're going to use the name local SQL Server because our default providers are going to look for a connection string with that name. So we could do some other changes in order to use whatever name we wanted, but for our purposes, it's probably easiest just to leave a connection string with that name in it. And to get our database's connection string. We can look at its properties, copy that. And rather than putting this whole file name in, we can actually simplify it by just putting data directory between two pipes. And what that will do is reference where our data directory is located. And I'm going to run this one more time just to make sure. Ah, that looks better. I think that's why the version number changed when we went to Visual Studio 2015, perhaps. Yes, and that worked. So you may see instructions say version 11.0. With 2015, it's going to be MS SQL Local DB. And we can see now we have the membership providers loaded in here. These things change periodically, so it's never a straightforward operation to put these things together. And under system.web, we're going to set a few other properties or attributes. And we had them from the previous example, so I'm just going to paste these in. And I want them under system web. So this can get confusing with web.config. You have a lot of different tags, and you have to make sure when you're adding things you place them under the correct tags. I also need to make sure that the type uses the right assembly name or namespace name, profile demo exist database. I'm going to hit it Control F5 just to see what happens. I don't have a page yet. But I get 403 error. I'm not getting any errors off of the web config so far, so I think we're okay. So let's add an ASPX page. And I've got a page that's working, so that means my web config seems to be working okay. And that and then the next thing I want to do is just see if I can add to this, maybe add to the shopping cart. And so let's see, to make this work, let's bring in a label which we'll use to display what's currently in the toolbox. We'll bring a text box. And another text box. So we'll look at we'll on page load we'll look at the shopping cart, and if there's anything in it, we'll display it. Let's see what happens. And looks like we have an invalid value in our web config. It doesn't like the attached DB file name. Directory. And it looks like we don't have anything in here, and we'll need to add an event here to add to the profile. So let's look at the design view, and we'll create a click event. And we'll get the shopping cart. And we're going to add a new a new item. And since we didn't create a constructor for this, we'll just do this. We'll say item, new item is equal to new item, and then new item dot description will equal that text box, one dot text, new item dot cost. It's going to equal small dot parse. Obviously, we would need to do some exception handling here or some validation before we did this parse command, but we'll leave it like this for now. And then we'll add this item to the cart. And we'll call the save method to save the change, and let's see if this works. And I can see that it's working, but we want to clean up the way this label is being treated. So in the page load, what we'll do is we need to set the label to an empty value to begin with. That way it'll be refreshed each time. And notice that the previous items are still there. We are off by one item each time we update, primarily because the page load is run first again, and the button one click is run next. So what we probably want to do is extract this view method here out, and I'm just going to refactor it. My shortcut keys have moved around with the new version. Control R, Control M. Okay, so refactoring is now quick actions and extract method. And I'm going to call this method display cart. And that means down here, I can call it again and not repeat myself. So let's see if the behavior is a little better now. And it looks like my cart's being added. Some weird behavior here. Oh, it's because I haven't cleared out the label in the new method. We can clean that up inside of here. And I don't need that in this part. So what I'm doing with page load is I'm getting the cart, pass into the display cart method. Display cart will empty out the label and then display it. And then when I button click, it'll immediately show the new cart. And it looks like it's pretty much working. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that would need to be done to change this, but you notice that every time I close out and run again, my cart is maintained through each time I run it. So my cart is actually being saved but in profile data. And there's a cookie on here which is identifying who I am and linking me from one session to the next. So this is a very useful way of ensuring that a user's profile information is retained from one session to the next. So that shows how to use profile data. Thank you very much.